We're going to start here in just a second. Hopefully this is a good stream. I'm in the rain and, well, I'm not in the rain literally, but it's raining here. So, internet, all that great. Anyway, so, and I know I'm like way early, but better early than late. But no, this we have that rehearsal at 6:30, so um, I always go about 2 hours, and I want to be done by 6 o'clock. So it's a little after 4, and I am just going to go ahead and get started so that I can hurry and um, uh, get through this. Now I do want to let everyone know that I have not been able to upload these videos, these articles onto the website, but I will do that as soon as I get home. Hello, Missy. How are you? God bless you, sister. So glad to see you guys. And I'm not exactly sure what time rehearsal will be over, or dinner or whatever, but I'm thinking I'll probably be between 8:30 and 9 o'clock tonight. So we'll just see for Bible study. I just wanted to let everyone know that ahead of time. And the wedding's at 2 tomorrow. So I'm not exactly sure. I am. All the grandbabies are just having a blast. Hugs to you too, Calamity. Thank you guys. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, on a tight schedule today. Anyway, so this article comes from Sputnik News, and again, just bear with me, and I will have all these updated on Sunday onto the page. But anyway, so here is from Sputnik News. It is it says there's a video here. I'm not going to click on the video because it's just too hard to do right now, but it says Ohio McDonald manager violently flings a blender at a disgruntled customer. It says newly obtained surveillance footage has given much needed insight into a late September clash between a McDonald's manager and a customer who was left with a broken nose and a shattered cheekbone after being struck with a piece of kitchenware. Hi, Great Informer, how are you? It says footage recently obtained and publicly released by local Ohio news station WLWT5 initially shows customers Brittany Price entertaining the Colerainian Township restaurant in an effort to have her drive-through order corrected. However, after more than 20 minutes of waiting and not being given the correct order or refund, things are seen escalating to a whole new level. With Price fuming about the lack of customer service while standing at the front counter, video shows the disgruntled customer removing things from her Happy Meals and chucking them towards Nashwanda Johnson, the manager at the eatery. It says, having been struck with a chocolate milk carton and an apple pie juice box, and then all of the Price's bagged items, Johnson's reacted, grabbing the closest item and flinging in Price's direction. But what was the item, you wonder? Well, it turned out to be a blender, which connected with the left side of Price's face and sent her tumbling backwards onto the ground. I wanted to get some Happy Meals and some cheeseburgers, and that was a very unhappy day for me, Price told WLWT, adding that September 22nd altercation has led to multiple doctor appointments. I've had surgery. I've had a lot of doctor appointments. The follow-up, hard mornings, hard afternoons. However, when asked when she wished things had gone down differently, Price told the station that she didn't believe it would have changed the situation. I feel like even if we would have just went verbal back and forth, that it still would have escalated into something else, she said. Johnson said she's also spoken out about the altercation, telling WLWT that it's been a rough since the series of events, ultimately leading to her dismissal from the company, which had employed her for more than 10 years. The dismissed manager went on to offer additional details on the confrontation. According to Johnson, the incident occurred at a busy time in the day at the restaurant, was going through a shift change, and Johnson had been working in the back to verify the restaurant's fugitives. It says Johnson got pulled into the heated situation after her general manager Karen Orson says she had begun to do so herself. The matter turned into a food fight after she decided to bring her general manager, insulting me from the back. She threw a chocolate milk at me, hit me, and then in the head with it as I had turned my back. So I turned around here. Come the apple juice hit me in the face, Johnson recalled to the station. All the Happy Meals are the brown paper bag. She just started going crazy. So every action has a reaction. So while I'm getting assaulted, I just picked up anything that was right there and just threw it back at her. At the time, Johnson claims she didn't realize what she had grabbed was one of the restaurant's blenders. She also noted that she wouldn't have thrown the blender had Price not opened to begin flinging food at her. She's the one who started this, Johnson said. No criminal charges have been filed as a result of the food battle. However, it has been reported that Price is planning to file a civil case against McDonald's. Well, imagine that, especially since she's had surgery. And AOC takes ketchup to food fight. You're funny. That is funny. Yeah, crazy stuff, guys. Crazy, crazy stuff. Um, this here also from Sputnik News. It says the Bund stage lawmakers wants the U.S. troops nukes out of Germany. The United States maintains nearly 36 military bases in Germany, with troops stationed in the country since the end of the Second Cold War, and long after the end of the Cold War and the withdrawal of the Soviet Union Russian troops from the country in the early 1990s. Lawmaker from Germany opposition left Die Link party wants the U.S. troops and nuclear weapons out of the country, calling on Berlin to cancel the agreements allowing foreign armed forces to be stationed in Germany, and saying the continued deployment of the estimated 35,000 U.S. military personnel in the country only serves to create tensions with Russia. In a parliamentary motion issued earlier this month, lawmakers stated that the presence of U.S. troops was incompatible with Germany's constitution, known as the Basic Law, since the U.S. uses German bases to carry out military operations in the Middle East, including the buildup against Iran and targeted elimination operations in Pakistan and Afghanistan. The motion also points to the planned modernization of a 20 U.S. nuclear bombs at the Bochel Air Force Base in western Germany, which lawmakers find unacceptable. The presence of AOC hopes a Happy Meal comes with a smile. You're funny. The presence of U.S. forces in the region is being used to create tensions in relations with Russia. U.S. forces are transferred in columns on roads and railroads from one U.S. base to another, bringing them closer to Russia's western borders. The motion reads, adding that such movements violate the spirit of the 2+4 agreement, which precludes the presence of foreign troops and nuclear weapons in Germany's eastern states. Uh, I would try to show you this picture, but it's just a slew of military, it looks like tanks. It says, signed in 1990 by Eastern Germany, West Germany, the USSR, the US, France, and the UK, the 2+4 agreement committed NATO members, apart from Germany, not to deploy forces in Eastern Germany lands following East Germany's unification with West Germany. Western leaders also made a verbal promise to the then Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev not to expand the alliance eastward, a promise they have since repeatedly violated. Between 1999 and 2004, every single member of the former Soviet-led Warsaw Pact alliance, as well as the Baltic republics of the USSR itself, have joined NATO. According to the link lawmakers, the ongoing rotating deployment of NATO forces in Poland and the Baltic states also place pressure on the 1997 NATO-Russia Founding Act, which committed the two sides to mutual security in the Euro-Atlantic area. A permanent deployment of U.S. forces in Poland and other Central and Eastern Europe countries, as brought into play by the U.S. side, should be interrupted as a preparation for war, the motion warns. I guess we're going to go to war, guys. It says the document also points to the 71 million German taxpayers will spend to maintain the presence of the U.S. and other foreign forces in country in 2020, and suggests that such outlays are unacceptable. In light of these factors, Link calls on the federal government to terminate the agreement to allow foreign forces to be stationed in Germany and to force all foreign troops to leave the country after a notice period. The motion further calls on Berlin to force the U.S. to withdraw its nuclear weapons from Germany territory and to pass legislation to prevent weapons of mass destruction of any kind from being stationed in their country. The motion, dated October 15th, was signed by Link chairwoman Sarah Wangerchek, a party co-leader, Dimitar Barch, on behalf of the faction. The government has yet to publicly respond to the motion. In a separate development, lawmakers from Link and fellow opposition party Alternative for Germany took part in a debate in the Bundestag on Thursday, calling Western countries and Germany to lift all sanctions against Russia, arguing that in the 5 years that they have been in place, sanctions have only served to harm Germany's economy. Germany was occupied by four allied powers, the USSR, the United States, France, and the UK, in 1945, and at the end of the Second World War, Germany was divided into two states in 1949 and became the dividing line between NATO and the Warsaw Pact. In 1990, with Moscow's approval, Germany was reunited. East Germany was absorbed into the Federal Republic, and the USSR agreed to withdraw the estimated 338,000 troops and 24 divisions stationed in the eastern part of the country. The U.S., France, and UK also pared down their deployment in the country, but continue to maintain in presence, although the French and the UK deployments have become largely symbolic. The U.S., on the other hand, continues to maintain some 35,000 troops, along with over 11,000 civilian contractors across some 34 bases, dotting the European state. And that's all of the article, guys. So, a lot of stuff is going on. I mean, all of a sudden now Germany wants us out of the area, which is kind of crazy. Now we also have from Fox News that says a boy 12 dies on a family cruise in the Mediterranean. Parents are quarantined. A 12-year-old boy from Germany died at sea while traveling on a Mediterranean cruise with his family earlier this week. The unnamed child fell ill during the early hours of Tuesday morning while on the MSC Divina cruise ship heading from Palmero, Italy to Calgaria, Sardinia. A spokesperson for MSC Cruise told Newsweek the boy's family had requested medical attention for the child while aboard the ship, but attempts to resuscitate him were not successful. He died around 3 a.m. on Tuesday. Reactive attempts to resuscitate his wake. And his family, and to respect medical privacy, we are unable to disclose any further details. Due to the unexpected illness, the boy's parents and two others were taken to the hospital in Sardinia, where they are quarantined as a preventive measure. Divina remained docked, and authorities were reportedly alerted to the boy's sudden death. No investigations, however, was launched because the cause of death was determined to have been natural, according to the outlet. Before his ultimately death, the boy had been feeling sick during the first stop of the cruise in Civitavecchia. He underwent a medical exam and continued. Oh, you're good. I don't even know what you said, sweetheart. Before his untimely death, the boy had been feeling sick during the first stop of the cruise in Sediventia. He underwent a medical exam and continued on to the next stop of Sardinia, where his condition began to deteriorate, according to Newsweek. He was pronounced dead just 3 hours from Sardinia's southern coast. A spokesperson for the MSC Cruises says they were working with authorities and German embassy officials to assist the family in any way possible. We are offering our full support to the family and the extremely difficult time, and a dedicated care team on site is providing support and comfort. The spokesman said, "We are deeply saddened by this incident and offer our heartfelt condolences to the family and those affected." MSC told the USA Today that they can reveal the symptoms the boy was dealing with when he began feeling ill, and they declined to share other details with respect to the family's privacy. No one else on the ship has been dealing with similar symptoms as the child, the outlet added. The MSC Davinia has continued its journey around the Mediterranean following the incident, according to the second Mescargo. I would think that, you know, unless you know what the situation is, that whole ship should be quarantined, or at least everybody that's been in contact. I would definitely dare say. Anyway, this from Fox News as well says the British police arrest a fourth person in connection to the gruesome truck death. Some victims may have been Vietnamese. A fourth person was arrested in the connection to the deaths of 39 people inside the back of the semi-truck in southeast England, as new reports emerged claiming some of the victims may have been Vietnamese. Essex police said Friday that a 48-year-old man from Northern Ireland was arrested at Stansted Airport on suspicion of conspiracy to traffic people and on suspicion of manslaughter. The news of the arrest follows the detention of two other people, a man and a woman, both 38, of Warrington earlier Friday. They were arrested on the same charges. This is a fast-moving investigation involving significant police resources dedicated to finding out the truth about what happened to the 39 people found dead in Lorry on Wednesday, Deputy Chief Constable Pippa Mills said in a statement. The bodies of 31 men and women were found inside the truck container earlier Wednesday at the Waterglade Industrial Park in Grays, a town about 25 miles east of London. The driver, a 25-year-old man from Northern Ireland, was arrested on suspicion of murder. He remains in custody on Friday. Officials said the remains of 11 people from the truck were transported by ambulance from the port of Tilbury under police escort on Thursday. The first autopsies to determine the cause of death are expected to begin Friday. This process is likely to be a lengthy one, but it is crucial, and we are working with Her Majesty Coroner to ensure the dignity of the victims and the respect for their loved ones is at the forefront of our investigation, Mills said. I'm acutely aware of the international interest in this case and the appetite for the information. British police have initially identified the victims as Chinese nationals, but a statement earlier Friday appeared to move away from the initial report, saying the picture may change regarding identification. Chinese officials told reporters in Beijing that nationalists and identities of the victims have not yet been confirmed. British media have reported Vietnamese families have contacted authorities with fears that their relatives may have been among the dead. At least 6 of the victims may have been Vietnamese, according to the BBC, with one family saying a woman identified as Pham Tai Tra Mai, 26, has not been heard of since the allegedly sending text messages saying she breathed. Her brother told BBC that she had paid more than $38,000 to human smugglers, and her last known location had been Belgium. The Vietnamese embassy in London confirmed Friday that it contacted police about a missing woman feared to be one of the dead. An embassy spokesperson said it was contacted by a family in Vietnam who says their daughter had been missing since the truck was found. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Hu Chaiyang said China was working in cooperation with local authorities. No matter where these victims come from, this is a great tragedy which drew the attention of the international community to the issue of illegal immigration, she said. The international community should further strengthen cooperation cooperation in this area, strengthen sharing of information, and attempts to prevent such tragedies from happening again. Essex police said it would not comment on speculation regarding the nationalist of the victims. The truck is left at the Belgian port via ferry and headed to Burfet, England, where it arrived Wednesday. Its location before remains unclear. As for the tractor unit of the truck, the smallest section at the front of the vehicle, police said it began its journey in Northern Ireland, where it made its way to Dublin. There it caught a ferry to Holyhead and North Wales before making its way to Essex. It picked up the container around 12:30 Wednesday in Thurrock. It departed the dock at around 1:05 and spotted the CCTV footage going toward the industrial park just minutes before the bodies were discovered inside. Anyway, it says that there was 58 deaths of Chinese in Dover, England in 2000. That's the other great tragedy that happened. And if this, turns out to be more Chinese, Chinese or Vietnamese, what is really going on? Let's see. This from the Jerusalem Post says, prepare for war the right way. The new threat to Israel is clear. Iran could respond to Israelis' many recent strikes on Iranian regional proxies and weapon depots by flying in low and hitting key Israeli infrastructures. The IDF must return to the fundamental grounds maneuver to achieve decisive outcomes at two unscheduled meetings this month. The Security Cabinet reportedly is discussing Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's proposal for a NIS $1.29 billion project to boost Israel's air defense, specifically against Iranian cruise missiles and drones. Israel's various anti-missile defense system from Iron Dome to David Sling to Arrow 3 are designed mainly to intercept high trajectory rockets and ballistic missiles. But the recent Iranian strike on the Saudi Arabian oil facilities showed remarkable IRGC skill in using low-flying cruise missiles and drones on a massive scale. Arrow Missile Project founder and chief developer Dr. Uzi Rubin laid out the pinpoint precision and professionalism of this attack in detailed analysis entitled Saudi Arabia's Black September, published this week by the Jerusalem Institute for Strategy and Security. The new threat to Israel is clear. Iran could respond to Israelis' many recent strikes on the Iranian regional proxies and weapons depot by flying in low and hitting key Israeli infrastructures in the center of the country. And for those that joined our 12-hour broadcast, we actually read articles of how Turkey wants Iran as well. So I think that that this is, a good move for Israel, that they are, amping up. Hello, Miss Gloria. How are you? Upping their artillery, I guess you could say. Anyway, so now, no, we're not going to do that one. I already did an article on that. So, this here says that from RT says that there was 8 killed, 2 injured after Russian military service member opens fire on a fellow soldier at a high security base. A major gun violence incident occurred on Friday at a nuclear-related military base in Siberia when a service member opened fire on a fellow soldiers, killing 8 people on the spot and injuring 2 others. The gunman used the firearm he'd been issued with for his guard duties in the attack. The Russian defense minister said he was apprehended just after the incident, which occurred in the Chita region. The 2 survivors were taken to a military hospital. Their lives are not in danger. Military investigation have identified the shooter as Private Ramil Shamishtavov. Among the 8 people he has alleged to have killed were 2 officers. The base where the incident occurred in high security facility tasked with servicing strategic nuclear weapons. A deputy prosecutor general of the Russian Strategic Arms Forces, the military branch responsible for the nuclear deterrence, was tasked with the investigation of that mass murder. The ministry said the investigative commission, headed by a deputy minister, has been dispatched from Moscow to conduct an inquiry. Preliminary reports indicate that the gunman went on a rampage after surfing a mental breakdown over a personal issue that was not directly related to his military service. The Chita region is located in the southern part of eastern Siberia, about 400 kilometers east of Lake Baikal, and close to the Siberia's border with Mongolia. So, they had somebody have a meltdown, apparently, which is not good. Then, in the news today is a story about RT put out that the gun activist Maria Butina leaves prison in Tallahassee, Florida, and heads to Russia. Hello, JR. How are you? Um, I don't know. I don't think at a nuclear facility. Yeah, at a nuclear facility. Not at some place you really want somebody to have a meltdown at. But yeah, it was at a nuclear facility. Is that not insane? Crazy, crazy, crazy. I did a couple articles. I'll go back over the headlines here after I'm not going to read a whole lot of this because, I mean, you know, it just basically is telling you that she was let out and she was extradited back to Russia, or escorted back to Russia, basically. And she was detained in Tallahassee, Florida. So anyway, so she is met. I was trying to see what was going on down here, but anyway. So a Russian gun activist is gone, left Tallahassee, and is back in Russia. Brain fart there, guys. Okay, so the first article that I did, JR, was there was uh, from Sputnik News. There was a video about a McDonald's manager that violently flings a blend. An article on Bundenstein lawmakers want the U.S. troop nukes out of Germany. So Germany is trying to get all of our nukes and all of our personnel thrown out of Germany. And this article is from the Sputnik News. And again, I'm not going to be able to update this until Sunday when we get home, but all these articles will be updated on my website, my page. Okay. So, and then there was a boy 12 that died on a family cruise in the Mediterranean, and his parents are being quarantined. Then we had an update on they're saying that there was a 4th person that was arrested in the connection of those 39 deaths, and most of them, 4 of them have been Vietnamese so far, is what's being reported. And then we came to the Israel story, Iran, obviously. Then I just did the story about 8 killed and 2 injured at a Russian military, a nuclear base. The gentleman that, so, and that brings us to the gun activist Maria Butin leaving prison in Tallahassee. Your eyes on Russia, and Russia is, like I said, in everything right now. And Russia is part of the reason why Germany wants us out of Germany. But according to RT, it says Russia. We already did that one. Okay. Russia launches the combat icebreaker Ivan Pampane, an advanced patrol boat for the Arctic. It says, and remember, we sent our Marines over to the Arctic as well. So we've got people going up to the Arctic. So I don't know what's going on up in the Arctic, but I think there's a lot of movement that is transpiring up there, guys. And it's probably wise to be really keeping an eye on Russia a little bit closer than what we have been here lately. Um, I don't know. I'm sure, we're preparing, like I said, that they were doing all those trainings and then all of a sudden deploying all these Marines and vessels and everything else to the Arctic. So lots of stuff going on. It says this lead vessel of the new class of Russian ice-rated warship, the 8,500-ton Ivan Papen, has been launched in St. Petersburg. When in service, she will help defend Russia's interest in the Arctic region. See, it's saying she's going to help defend Russia's interest in the Arctic region. Right there is a telltale, right there, I say. You can't what? I'm not sure what you're wanting to do, MG. Um, I saw can't. Anyway, so it says the latest addition to the Russia's Arctic military arsenal was launched on Friday at the port city's Admiralty shipyard, dubbed the combat icebreaker by some Russia media. She is, yeah, no, I wish you could, but I'm doing my live stream from my phone. Sorry, sorry. Um, well, we'll have to figure out some other way to do it. I probably can do my Bible stream from or another stream maybe later somehow from this, and you can call in later. Maybe we might do another stream. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see how tired I am tonight because I haven't had much sleep. Of course, not being in your own bed and all that good jazz. Anyway, it says that the arsenal was launched on Friday at the port city's Admiralty shipyard, dubbed the combat icebreaker by some. Yes, and that explosion, yes, exactly, Gloria. It all is tying together. It says the combat icebreaker by some Russian media. She is of a newer design created by the Russian Navy and is on her role and size roughly a counterpart of the Norwegian Coast Guard ship Svalbard. Um, okay, that's cool, JR. You're good. It says work on the Ivan Papan began in April 2017, and the vessel is expected to be commissioned sometime in 2022 or 2023. The 114-meter long warship can be used as a patrol ship, a tug, or an icebreaker for other vessels. Her hull is strong enough to deal with the ice up to 50 centimeters thick. She is armed with the Caliber cruise missiles and a 76.2 millimeter naval gun, and also boasts a helipad with a hangar for a reconnaissance helicopter and base for two Raptor-class speedboats. It has a capacity for 50 mission crew in addition to the sailors and officers manning the ship herself, and has an endurance of 60 days with a range of 6,000 nautical miles. The Tulsi is not an honest person. Her religious beliefs aren't Christian. I didn't get to read it before it went away. Sorry, not all of it anyway. The Russian military plans to use the multi-purpose ship for patrols of its Arctic waters. Intercepted violators can be towed to port for detention with no external help. The Ivan Papan may also serve as a transport ship for sensitive military cargo or as support ship in a battle group. The Russian Navy already has a dedicated icebreaker, the Lila Mormets, which has been in service since last year. This ship, however, is unarmed. So, again, we got to keep our eye on Russia, like I've been saying this. This here article says, did Trump outsmart Putin with Syria. Um, it's from Zero Hedge, and it says Russia will soon find itself caught between Turkey and Syria. After U.S. President six, if not in agreement in rare in Washington these days, but it underestimates the wisdom of Trump's decision. The benefits Putin. Trump called Assyria a bloody sandbox. He's right about that. It is also a bribable ancient animosities and irreconcilable differences. The president is not prepared to take responsibility for his completed place or to get caught up if get caught up in it. If leaving creatures creates an opportunity for Russia to fill the vacuum as American lawmakers believe, then it is one Trump is happy to cede. The Russian leader struts on the world stage, but he has not exactly won a victory. Sooner or later, Al Qaeda, Islamic State, or the next iteration of jihad will break loose in Syria. When that happens, the Russians will be the new Satan on the block. Their diplomats in Damascus will come under attack, as will Russian troops. More troops will be sent to defend them. Putin's much prized Mediterranean naval installation will require reinforcement, and so on. Soon enough, jihad will inflame Russia's large Muslim population. Moscow itself will become a terrorist target. The safety zone that Putin and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan have recently carved from northern Syria will collapse. Syrian leader Bashar al Assad rightly considers it a violation of his country's sovereignty, and if he can persuade his Russian patrons to shut down the zone, Erdogan will threaten another invasion. If Putin then sides with Turkey, Assad will take the matters into his own hands. His army may not be fit for fighting armed opponents, but the Kurds are and can act as Assad's proxies. If and when such a border fight develops, Putin will find himself between Assad and Erdogan. Whatever he does, he will wind up in the most vulnerable of the Middle Eastern positions, the friend of somebody's enemy. As the big power in charge, Russia will also be expected to help its Syrian client rebuild the damage from the civil war. Physical reconstruction alone is expected to cost 4 to 500 billion. This is a bill Trump had no intention of paying, and one more reason he was glad to hand northern Syria to Putin. Russia cannot afford a project of this magnitude. It's possible that Putin expects the EU countries to foot the bill, motivated either by humanitarian impulses or by the desire to forestall another wave of the displaced immigrants. But this is wishful thinking. Faced with the potential influx of the Syrian refuge, Europe is more likely to raise barriers on its own southern and eastern borders than to invest the affordable housing in the ruins of Aleppo and Horns. What's more, Syria needs more than new housing. It needs an entire economy. Tourism, once a major industry, has vanished. The country's relatively insignificant oil fields are inoperable or in the hands of the tiny contingent of the U.S. troops that left to guard them, and the country's biggest export product is spice seeds. Another headache for Putin is ongoing Israel-Iran war, which is being fought largely in Syrian territory. So far, Russia has been studiously neutral. The powerful Israel Defense Forces are engaged against what their leaders regard as a strategic threat, and unlike the Kurds, Israel is not a disposable American ally. Putin knows this and will not risk a military confrontation, no matter how many Syrian-based Iranian mutant nations' warehouses Israel destroys, or how hard Assad pushes him to retaliate. Critics who see the U.S. withdrawal as an act of weakness that will hurt the American prestige and influence in the Middle East are wrong. The Arab world understands realpolitik and will read Trump's indifferences to their fate of Syria as the self-serving behavior of the strong course. For that is what the U.S. Is. It has far more naval power, air dominance, strategic weaponry, and intelligent assets than any other country in the region. including Russia, and its allies are the richest, best situated, and most military potent countries in the Middle East. Not one of them will trade its relationship with Washington for an alliance with Moscow, and Trump knows this. As far as he's concerned, Putin is welcome to the sandbox and the briar patch. And I say, reading that article, it kind of puts a lot of stuff in perspective. At least for me, it did. Uh-oh. What happened, able body, to Carfus, or Carefus, however you say it? Not quite sure. It says, from Zero Hedge as well, the apocalypse is near. The Pentagon warns climate change could cause U.S. military collapse within 20 years. Another article about the climate change. I'm not going to read it, but I'm just letting you know that they're trying to say that climate change is going to cause this great big old military collapse now. So now the military is going to collapse, not just the world, but now the military is going to collapse. Yeah, this is from Zero Hedge. I just wanted to, and I will post them on my webpage on Sunday. All these articles, even the ones that I don't read, but I just cannot do another climate change article right now. It gets me so irate, and I don't want to be mad tonight. I'm trying to be on a happier note, guys. Yeah, that's what I say. The military is going to collapse within 20 years because of climate change. Give me a break. That's just, yeah. And then Zero Hedge also put out this article that says California Governor Newsom declares a state of emergency over the wildfires and thanks Trump for aid. The grant will help ensure the availability of resources and also enables local, state, and tribal agencies to recover eligible costs. We are grateful for the swift approval of our request to ensure all resources are available to support heroic work of the firefighters and first responders working to contain this fire and keep local communities safe, said Governor Newsom. The FEMA grant will assist local, state, and tribal agencies responding to the fire to apply for 75% reimbursement of their eligible fire suppression costs. Governor Newsom tweeted his thanks to President Donald Trump on Friday morning. Additionally, Newsom issued another scathing rebuke of mass blackouts rolling California, telling the state's three major investors-owned electric utilities that they have not worked well enough with the government as they cut power to too many people for too long. For close to a year now, we've been meeting on consistent basis every damn week with these guys laying out protocols. That's what the article says, guys. I'm not cussing, I promise. And they're not meeting those protocols. I don't think they get it, he said. They'd better step things up. This is simply unacceptable. And now Newsom has declared a state of emergency for the counties of Sonoma and Los Angeles due to the Kincade and Tick fires. The NBC Bay Area reports that the Kincade fire in northern Sonoma County has scorched 21,900 acres, destroyed 49 structures, including 21 homes, and triggered evacuation orders for about 2,000 people in and around Geyersville, a community located about 70 miles north of San Francisco. The blaze is only 5% contained, but no injuries have been reported yet, which that's kind of crazy, guys. Only 5%. That's scary there. This here is an article that came out. I'm trying to see the date. It came out yesterday, but it's from NBC, and it says that there was a Marine combat veteran who served in Iraq that was deported to El Salvador. It said this Marine combat veteran whose supporters were seeking a pardon from Governor of California was suddenly deported to El Salvador this week, according to the advocates and immigration authorities. Jose Segavi Bentes, 38, who served in the U.S. Marine Corps from 1999 to 2004, was deployed to Iraq, was deported to El Salvador on Wednesday, according to the Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Carlos Luna, president of Green Card Veterans and supporter of Segovia Benitez, told the NBC News on Thursday that the deportation was sudden and unexpected after the veteran had been granted a brief stay while his attorneys filed additional paperwork on his behalf. From my understanding, neither Jose's attorney nor ICE counsel that was assigned to his case in Adelanto were informed that he was being deported, Luna said, referring to Adelanto ICE processing center in California. Segovia Benitez was being held in Adelanto before his deportation process began last week. His deportation was stayed for a few days, his attorney said, and then he was taken to the detention center in Arizona, from where he was then ultimately deported this week. So right now it is unclear who actually ordered his deportation, and that's something we're trying to find out, Luna said. They basically snuck him out in the middle of the night, Thomas Sanchez, one of his lawyers assisting with the case, added. He was processed in jail in El Salvador before being released, Sanchez said. While Segovia Benitez previously had legal status, he was ordered to be removed from the country last year after serving several years in prison for drug and domestic violence related convictions, according to the immigration authorities. His family advocates and lawyers say that while they do not excuse his past behavior or violence, Segovia Benitez did not get the treatment he needed for his post-traumatic stress disorder and the traumatic brain injury sustained during his time in combat, and noted he served both his country and his sentence. Roy Petty, an attorney in the case, discovered that Segovia Benitez had been deported only after he arrived at the detention center in Arizona and found his client was no longer there. The veteran's family had not been informed of his deportation either, according to Luna. Mr. Petty is one that had to inform them after he found out when he was going to Phoenix. Luna said Segovia received multiple awards and decorations during his service, according to the Marine and military record. His rib cage is tattooed with a large Statue of Liberty, and he has a USMC tattooed across one arm. I I got mixed feelings about this. I mean, if he was in the military, I didn't know that you could be an illegal and serve in our military. So I'm kind of a little bit confused about that. Especially if we weren't, in a full-fledged war. I mean, I could see us taking people in to help us, but then again, who knows? I mean, like I said, I'm not sure about that. I'd have to check in on that and see how many times we have let illegals into the military. And I think that if you service this country, that should give you, some kind of legal standing anyway. I mean, that's just my opinion because I view him as a veteran now, and so I think it's pretty sad. Yeah, and that's what I would think that would be, and so why he was deported is really true. I mean, I understand that he committed some violations and some crimes, but apparently he had already done his time for that. And like most Americans, I mean, there's a lot of Americans here that have made the same mistake, but we're not deporting, our own people, are we? I mean, I've never heard of that happening, but who knows? Maybe they are. I couldn't tell you. Um, I haven't heard of it though. Now this here article comes from Vox, and this is on the vaping illnesses, and I have been covering this ever since it broke, and this is just an updated article that came out today, and someone shared it with me. At least 34 people have died, and more than 1,600 have fallen ill in the vaping-related lung illness outbreak that swept across the country since March. And months into their investigation, the disease detectives at the Center for Disease Control and Prevention say they still don't know exactly what's causing the severe shortness of breath and chest pain that's landed people in the hospitals. One class of vaping product, however, has consistently been implicated in the illnesses: unregulated and unlicensed cartridges that contain the THC, the main psychotic chemical in cannabis. According to the latest CDC data, 78% of the 849 patients who have proved information of their vaping habits reported using the THC containing products, though the agency isn't tracking whether people were using illegal or black market sources to vape. The data we have from states suggests it's overwhelming illicit pre-filled THC vape cartridges making people sick. On Tuesday, the CDC Mortality and Morbidity Weekly Report published a study from Utah showing 92% of patients interviewed reporting vaping THC, and mostly them pre-filled cartridges before falling ill. The vape products, the CDC said, were acquired from informal sources such as friends or illicit in a person and online dealers. Dank Vapes, a popular black market manufacturer, was the most commonly used brand. Research in Illinois and in Wisconsin shows the same pattern, and in New York, the State Department of Health Commissioner has said the vast majority of the 125 cases there have been linked to black market THC cartridges. As the data has emerged, the outbreak is looking less like a story about general vaping risk and more about the harms of vaping certain THC products. It also is a reminder that a way people use the THC is shifting. What changed is that people used to vape dried herb, and now you have more vaping of preposed manufactured oils, which involve different ingredients, said David Hammond, a public health researcher in the University of Waterloo in Ontario, who studied the e-cigarette and THC vape markets in Canada and the U.S. Yet health regulators haven't kept up with the newly related. Hammond and other experts told Vox, even in this state where marijuana is legal, that's why experts increasingly view the outbreak as evidence that the case for decriminalizing marijuana at the federal level. States haven't been able to protect the public from dangerous vape products, and so it may be a time for agencies experienced in regulating consumer products like food and drugs to take over, they say. To understand why, let's take a closer look at the black market for THC vape products and its role in vaping. And we're not going to read the rest of it, but an article from Vox, and it says vaping has a little, I don't know, graph, and it says dry herb is 82%, or and then edibles is 54 to 34. Oil vaped is 39 and 31. Hash is 23 to 16. Oil oral is 25 to 20, and concentrates is 22 to 15%. Topicals is 23% to 11%. Drinks is 16% to 9%, and tinctures are 14% to 7%. And anyway, so it just doesn't see it doesn't seem like there's going to be any type of break here for those CBD oils. The government is poisoning people so they can get their hands around the cat. That's all that it is, too. That's exactly what it is. I mean, it's sad, It truly is sad. This here article comes from The Hill, and it says drug maker to pay millions for the allegedly inflating price of opiate treatment. It says the United Kingdom-based opiate manufacturer has agreed to pay millions of dollars to a group of states as part of a settlement over how the company marketed its opiate addiction treatment medication. The $700 million settlement between the federal government and states with the UK-based Reckitt Bextor Group revolves around allegations that the company kept the price of Suboxone, an opiate addiction treatment drug, artificially high by delaying generic versions, resulting in false or fraudulent claims to state Medicaid programs. The company in July agreed to pay the federal government $1.4 billion to resolve its potential crime in the civil liability regarding the marketing of Suboxone, with $500 million going to the federal government and $200 million split among several states. For example, Washington State is to receive $2.2 million, Virginia received $12 million, and Ohio said it received $39.4 million. All states will use the large percentage of their settlements to reimburse federal Medicaid programs. Suboxone is a drug that reduces withdrawal symptoms and is used to wean heroin and opiate users off of addictive drugs while they are undergoing treatment. The medication and its addictive ingredient, buprenorphine, I guess it's a long, buprenorphine, are still addictive. According to the Department of Justice, multi-state investigations showed that Rickett Bankster knowingly promoted Suboxone to doctors who later prescribed the drugs for unsafe, ineffective, and medically unnecessary uses. It says misrepresenting the characteristics of any drug can and have a dangerous consequences for the public health, West Virginia Attorney General Patrick Morrisey said in a statement. Anyway, so that's a pretty large settlement, and but the thing of it is it's going to the government. It's not going to the individuals that were affected by this. It's just going to the government to pay them back. And I disagree with that. I think that it should go to the individuals that have been affected by it, not to repay the government. I mean, give me a break. I corrected. There was 41 American troops identified. This is the article from Fox News. 41 American troops identified so far for the remains returned by North Korea. It says dozens of American soldiers have been identified so far from 55 boxes of remains and artifacts sent back from North Korea last year after a historic meeting between Hermit Kingdom leader Kim Jong-un and President Trump. Defense Department official announced Friday. The boxes were handed over as a part of an agreement between Trump and Kim following the June 2018 summit. Inside Pentagon, officials say they have found several pairs of boots, 2 helmets, several canteen bottles, dozens of buttons, buckles, and bayonets, handle, and a dog tag, amongst other items. We are up to 41, Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Kenneth Hoffman told Stars and Stripes Friday when asked how many sets of remains have been identified. One soldier whose identity was revealed this week is Army Corporal Lloyd B. Odom of Odessa, Missouri. The 19-year-old was reported missing in action on December 2, 1950, during the Korean War Battle of the Chosin Reservoir, according to the Stars and Stripes. He is now being buried at Arlington Cemetery at an undetermined date. 2 other soldiers recently identified were Corporal Charles H. Grubb of West Virginia and Sergeant James Ernest Smith of Kansas. Stars and Stripes reports Army Master Sergeant Charles H. McDaniel, another soldier whose remains were returned, were identified after officials found his dog tags in his boxes. We can't speculate at this point about how many more soldiers may be identified, Hoffman said. More than 7,800 Americans remain unaccounted for from the war, and remains of more than 5,000 Americans are believed to be located in North Korea, according to the officials. And I think that this is good news for those that you know haven't been able to have closure. And I really think that nobody can take this away from our president, that he actually did this. And when the Medicaid recipient dies, Utah will take control of all their person's assets, including everything, the property. Yep, they will. Angers, doctors don't even think outside the box. Nope, they don't. They don't. And that is the very sad part. It's this here from Fox says that an Army AI task force works to massively speed up weapons attacks. It says the Envision high-speed multi-domain massive Mechanized warfare in 2030, a fast-moving, lightweight armored vehicle detects an approaching column of the enemy tanks with a long-range infrared targeting sensors. The targets are dispersed across expansive mountainous terrain, yet moving in coordination for attack. The armored vehicle cannot fire upon the enemy tanks and give away its position, so it networks the targeting specifics to an armed overhead drone, which then attacks the enemy tanks, exploding them with Hellfire missiles without putting soldiers at risk. And it sounds like it's a pretty good deal there, guys. Anyway, um, I'm my husband has done been out here to tell me to hurry up. So, I'm going to just let you know that, AI is getting put more and more into our military, into the equipment. And in this instance, it sounds like it's going to be for the better. And again, I will either try to read the rest of these stories that I haven't read later or tomorrow sometime, or like I said, I will have these stories on my webpage on Sunday, and that was from Fox, guys. And my battery's going dead too, so we got to hurry. It says the Ukraine police arrest a hacker wanted in the U.S. suspected for stealing $6 million from American banks. A 32-year-old man, and this is from Fox, a 32-year-old man accused of hacking into the U.S. financial institutions and stealing more than $6 million was arrested in Ukraine as he was hiding from the American authorities. Police in Kyiv said in a statement that the man was arrested Friday, hiding out in one of the most expensive hotels in the Ukrainian capital city. Police did not realize his name or his nationality, but said he was a foreigner. The man is suspected of unlawful interference with computer system, theft of money, laundering in especially large amounts, the statement said. So, we've got somebody laundering a lot of money, stealing from us. Shame, shame, shame. But I was trying to get to this news before I have to go. This is phenomenal news from Fox News. It says the FBI agents manipulated Flynn file as Clapper allegedly urged kill shot court filing. It says an explosive new court filing from Michael Flynn's legal team alleges that the FBI agents manipulated official records of the former National Security Advisor 2017's interview that led to him being charged with the lying to investigators in Flynn's lawyer's latest attempt to get the case thrown out. Sidney Powell, Flynn's attorney, filed a 37-page motion on Thursday outlining several big allegations, once again requesting that the government produce all evidence as it relates to Flynn, urging the court to dismiss the entire prosecution for outrageous government misconduct and hold the prosecutors in contempt. And I would definitely do that. This is insane. The entire case stemmed from the FBI interview when Flynn was asked about his conversation with a former Russian ambassador, Sergei Kalask. Flynn ultimately pleaded guilty to making a false statement regarding those conversations during his interview as a part of a former special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation. But as the legal team does on offense in long-running and still unresolved court proceedings, Powell alleged the FBI officials manipulated Flynn's FBI 302, a form used by the agents to report or summarize interviews. It's not clear who may have done the alleged editing through the ex-FBI agent, Peter Strzok, was involved in the original interview. Those changes added an unequivocal statement that Flynn stated he did not, in response to whether Mr. Flynn had asked kiosks to vote in a certain manner or slow down the UN vote on sanctions. Powell wrote, because as the notes at the agent show, Mr. Flynn was not even sure he had spoken to Russia Kieslak on the issue. He had talked to dozens of countries. So hopefully this will get thrown out. I am praying for Flynn that it gets ended, because it's just it's a farce. It truly is a farce. And I don't know if anyone has been following this story, but that missing mother in Tennessee, her body was found, and there's been 2 men charged with the abuse of the corpse, investigators said. And this is for the body, Hickman County. And unless you really know anything about, we used to live in Hickman County, so I know quite a bit about it, but it sounds like it's really gone downhill. Not good news, and prayers for that family. Anyway, and Durham's investigation into a possible FBI misconduct is now a criminal probe, and I think we discussed last night. And anyway, on that note, guys, my husband is getting in the car. We are getting ready to pull out, so I'm going to cut this short. But I will try to go again later, maybe after Bible study or something. But if not, maybe tomorrow morning I will go over some of these that we really didn't get to cover today. But I hope everyone has a blessed night, and hope to see everybody at the Bible study tonight around, I'm going to say probably 8:30, between 8:30 and 9, so everyone knows that it might be late. Anyway, God bless everyone and have a blessed day, and see you at Bible study. Bye, guys.